People tryna say I'm only in the me. Got a cold with my dogs, can get in between. I can give them life, no more energy. Amen. Amen.
What's up, everybody? I'm here. We got JJ here with me, doing a little fresh video for you guys, something new. No bets, but we're going to talk about where the NBA is at right now and the teams competing for playoffs, the teams that we know are going to be in the playoffs, and we're going to evaluate if the playoffs started today, how would the playoff landscape look? So, let's get into it. And as of March 17th, March 18th at 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time, this is how the bracket would look if the playoffs started tonight. OKC and Cavs are the 1 seeds, no surprise there. 2 seeds, Rockets and Boston. 3 seeds, Denver and New York Knicks. 4 seeds, Lakers and Bucks. 5 seeds, Grizzlies and Pacers. 6 seeds, Warriors and Pistons. And then we get to the play-in teams. In the East, we'd have Atlanta and Orlando in the 7-8 matchup, and Chicago and Miami in the 9-10 matchup. In the West, 7-8 matchup, we have Minnesota and LA Clippers. And in the 9-10 matchup, we'd have the Kings and the Dallas Mavericks. Nico Harrison. JJ, will we talk about the play-in games first?
Let's talk about it. Which side do you want to start with first?
Let's do the East. I'm an East Coast guy. I like to start there first.
Let's
go
do it.
7-8. These two teams only need to win one game to make it into the playoffs. The winner of this game, which would be held in Atlanta, would go face the Cavs in round 1. Get the Magic out of here. The Magic offense is horrible, and I know the Atlanta defense is bad. It's an offensive league. They can keep the pace up. I don't think the Magic are going to be able to pace up with them. Give me the Hawks, man.
I have to agree with you here. I mean, this Magic's team without Jalen Suggs, it's just they don't have the shooting that they need here. I just don't see them be able to keep up with the Hawks offensively. Like, okay, you could say, yeah, Magic's defense fine, but it's like the Hawks are going to outshoot you in the playoffs. You need shooting. The Magic don't have it. They didn't have it last year. It didn't work very well against the Cavs last year. In any game.
At least last year, Paolo was looking great. This year, I mean, I think he shot 6 of 22 in their last win, and it's like that was one of his better games. It felt like that whole offense. It's either been Paolo being as inefficient as possible and everybody clearing out and letting him brick middies, or just late shot clock heaves. It's been actually like I love watching basketball. I don't like watching the Magic offense. It's really
it's
a
bad.
pain to my eyes.
Yeah, them sitting on their hands at the deadline was not a good move, in my opinion.
No. And KCP just hasn't been what you need him to be.
Nope.
I don't even think it's entirely his fault. I mean, you need him as a spot-up shooter, as a guy who can defend. It's not that he hasn't been doing both. It's that when you give Paolo the ball at the elbow, nobody's coming to help, or nobody's like rotating the ball and helping defensively. So then it just hasn't looked.
It's
good.
A mix of a personnel and coaching problem offensively.
Yes.
Defensively, they are great. Even with the missing pieces that they have, but you're gonna need a little bit of offense.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, and they don't have it.
And Trae Young has seen them enough. I mean, Trae Young's a smart player. He can score. He can facilitate. He'll be able to, as long as the shot's not as long as it's not like 1 of 15, he'll be able to pick them apart.
Yeah.
Let's go to that 9-10 game. Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat. Chicago, they keep trying to lose and tank, but they're not doing it. Meanwhile, Miami is trying to win. They're trying to get their shit together, and they keep losing. We got some time to the actual playoff start. But as it stands, this game will be in Chicago. What do you got for us?
It's an ugly one, but I'll have to lean Heat here. I know they're having a lot of offensive problems, but I think even if we started today, Tyler Hero is going to be a problem. They have someone to put on Kobe White and a Davion Mitchell.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the Heat better pray they don't put any Andrew Wiggins on Kobe White or they will get torched.
I don't think the Bulls have the personnel or the drive to win. Like the Miami Heat are trying to win. Like they're
Yeah.
genuinely getting frustrated when they lose. For the Bulls, it's like, yeah, you celebrate when you win, but like if they lose on in the next game, they don't really care. So once you get in once the stakes are higher, you have to think that drive by the Heat, and by the way, a Hall of Fame coach, Eric Spoelstra, can get the job done against the Chicago Bulls team. So that would put Atlanta facing the Celtics in the 2 spot, and the Heat and Orlando playing each other in the last spot for the plan to face the Cavs. Orlando and Miami, I mean, that's about as play-in East Coast playoffs as you can get, is it not?
Very low scoring. It won't be very entertaining for most people. I'll say that.
I don't even think we have to pick a winner. I don't think either of them are putting up 5 games against the Cavs if either advance.
Yeah. The winner of that, they'll lose in 5 regardless.
Yeah. All right, go to the West. We got the Kings and Mavericks. Can we just say the Kings and move on? I mean, this Mavericks team is...
Yeah, this Mavericks team is cooked.
No, it's... Shout out Nico Harrison.
And people try to think I was crazy for have my tweet about Grimes, like, what were they doing trading away him for Caleb Martin? And yeah, you could say, oh, roster space or like cap space and all that, but he wanted to stay there. That was the crazy thing. And you can't even work anything out with them, and you didn't want to use him properly. He showed flashes when everybody was out there. Still didn't believe in him, so you say, all right, we'll take a very average defensive player, because everybody looks at him in his Miami Heat days, but you got to look at it. They played a lot of zone defense. They made Duncan Robinson look all right playing defense. Why? Because they're in zone. You have help. But he's not in that system no more. They're not going to play a ton of zone in Dallas.
Dude, we need to take a second to talk about Quentin Grimes, because Nico Harrison obviously fucked up with Luka. Everybody knew that was the case, and everybody talked about it immediately. When Quentin Grimes trade happened, people were like scratching their heads a little bit, but they were like, whatever. Like, they already lost Luka. Who cares? Not that I made, like, this is hindsight 2020, and not that I made a huge deal about it when it happened, but I was very much adamant of what was Nico Harrison doing. I said it then, and now it's coming to fruition because, like you just said, we saw flashes here and there. And anybody who watched the Knicks at times when they finally, like, had a few blowout games and let them work a little bit, anybody who watched the Mavs in games without Luka and Kyrie, most people think, oh, Spencer Dinwiddie probably took over PG Washington. No, it was Quentin Grimes. It was a Quentin Grimes show every time one of them went down. People who watched him get real usage knew he had a little bit of that game in him. Did we know he was going to do these consistent 40 balls? Probably not. But we knew he was nice. So to not only trade him for Caleb Martin, who nobody really is like, ooh, yay, we got Caleb Martin. But then to add a pick on top of it, none of it made sense. At 0 point did that make sense. But yeah, Mavs, you're getting bounced. No question about it. Next up, Timberwolves and Clippers. It is amazing the parity we have in this league that these two teams are the 7 and 8 seed, because I don't know what the exact amount of games are between them and like the 4 or 5 spot, but I could have 100%. If you told me at the beginning of the season that this was going to be the 4-5 matchup, I would have 100% believed you.
Yeah, this 7-8 matchup is kind of crazy, it being a 7-8 matchup, but it's going to be a hell of a playing game. I'll definitely be tuned into it.
So I'm checking now, and Minnesota is only 3.5 games back from the 4 spot. Clippers are 1 game behind them. So a lot can change between now and the playoffs. As it stands, if these two were to play in the play-in tournament, I'm a huge Clippers guy, honestly. I think the Timberwolves still take this one.
I think so. But if the Clippers do take it, we're going to have like a prime type of Kawhi type of game here in the playoffs.
One of my biggest issues, I think, with the Clippers, and we kind of have this issue every year, but even more so this year, teams need to take time to like mesh with each other and figure out the roles, who's getting the ball when, and all this stuff. If Kawhi had been out as long as he did and then came back and it was business as usual, it would have been fine. But it felt like a couple weeks after he came back, Norman Powell was hurt for a month, and he got back last game. Who knows if he's going to stay healthy? James Harden, shout out to him. He's been reliable. Same with Zubac. But now they're adding Bogey to the mix. Now they're adding Ben Simmons to the mix. We're March 18th. We got playoffs in a month. And the reality is we haven't seen all of these guys together all at once and know what it's going to look like. And the worrying part is I don't think they do either. So things could change, but as it stands, it's looking a little scary for them. And on the flip side, I think Minnesota's got it figured out. Randall, they figured out his role, and he's doing a great job of it. Anthony Edwards, he knows when to take all the usage and when not to. They're not forcing Mike Conley into this veteran role where he needs to play 30 minutes a night or they're cooked. DiVincenzo has figured out his role. They're not really leaning on Gobert to the point where he can screw up a game anymore. It seems like things are clicking really well for them. So they'd be going to face the Rockets, and we'd have the Clippers and the Kings. And I'd have to say the Clippers only because they're at home. And they're a home merchant team. So
oh yeah, they
they're going to
definitely
be at
are.
home. I'm taking them.
And I don't think the Kings would match up very well with them anyways here.
Who would,
Not
yeah,
if both teams are fully healthy, no.
Like Keegan Murray I like him as a defender. He's not defending Kawhi.
No.
All right, so they go and face the Thunder, and now we get to the actual playoffs. We'll start with the East again. We've already kind of said whoever goes to play the Cavs between the Heat and the Magic would lose. I think what would be very interesting for the Cavs is I think their playoffs start in the second round, but we'll get into that. Bucks and Pacers, that's the one that I'm actually really excited to talk about. Rematch
I'm
of the
excited
first
to
round
watch
last
this.
year. Yeah, if we get it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
If we get it. But I mean, the way the seeding is looking like so far, it's very possible we get this.
Oh yeah. You don't think they? Oh wow, I did not realize the gap between them and the Knicks was 5 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so then never mind. This is probably the 4-5 matchup, unless the Pistons sneak in against one of them. Give me the Bucks, dude. I know the Pacers took 5 games last year. Giannis wasn't healthy. When's the last time we saw a healthy Giannis like really get taken care of in the first round? That Miami series, he was not healthy.
No.
Last year with Pacers, he wasn't healthy. Giannis, if it wasn't for Jokic and SGA putting historical seasons, Giannis would be MVP. Like, Giannis's numbers are ridiculous right now. He'd be in the MVP conversation. He's having a phenomenal season, and now he's got a mid-range game that people are just not talking about for no reason. He's been amazing this season. Him and Damian Lillard they're going to keep clicking more and more. I don't know how the Pacers handled a fully healthy Bucks team in this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I know they tried doing different tactics these last 2 games they played in the past week. And, I mean, outside of that little three-pointer that Tyrese Halliburton hit, they're not going to be able to do that for a whole 7-game series. I just think the Bucks are going to be too much.
Games slow down in the playoffs, too. Like, we also have to recognize it. The Pacers are a team that wants to get out and run.
That's when they're at their best.
That works game to game when you only have a day or two to prepare. But in a 7-game series, when you're not the better team, there will be ways to mitigate that. And it just feels a little obvious. And I hate betting on Doc Rivers, by the way. This is not me hating on the Pacers. This is not me respecting the Bucks. It's just a matter of Giannis exists. There's not anybody with that kind of firepower on the other side. And I don't think the schematics of their systems favor that Indiana that heavily either.
Yeah.
The Knicks and Pistons. I think it's very easy for people to go through brackets and just pick the top seed every time. They're top seed for a reason. The Pistons would take this one.
I think so. I mean, outside of Jalen Brunson for the Knicks, I don't know if Mikal Bridges is going to step up like they need to for the full series. This Pistons defense has been good. Cade has been playing his ass off for that team. I think Malik Beasley's going to give him problems in the playoffs if they end up matching up.
I don't see it with the Knicks right now. Like, and unless they flip a switch, defensively they're horrible. Like, they're really bad, especially with Brunson on the floor, who's currently out probably for like another couple of days, a week or so. But Pistons, they have the defense. The offensive side is where it gets a little wishy-washy with them. But against this Knicks defense, I'm not really worried about that. Oscar Thompson, his minutes aren't that high, but he seems to be getting a consistent role with them, and they're probably going to be putting him on Brunson. He doesn't chase off-ball screens that well. So on-ball screens in the pick and roll, I think he can handle his zones a little bit. And I think we forget how much DiVincenzo bailed the Knicks a little bit out last year. They don't have him anymore, and I don't know that I trust Mikal Bridges to do that himself either.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby has been solid this season, but he hasn't been the OG Anunoby that we thought he was going to be defensively. He has his moments where like, oh yeah, that's the OG Anunoby that dominates. But unless he plans on flipping a switch to do it every game, what he's been doing this season isn't going to be enough to make up for Brunson and Cat.
Who do you think is going to be the X factor for each team in this series?
For the Knicks, I want to say McBride, only because I also think on the Pistons it's going to be Beasley. The rotations are already short. Thibodeau's going to want to keep it shorter. So for the only way for that to work, I think those first guys off the bench are going to have to move the needle.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with Beasley. I was debating between McBride and OG because I think they're going to really need OG's offense here to step up. We already know he's going to do what he does defensively. He's really going to be a key piece in trying to limit Cade. But I think offensively, that's where we're going to see. If he could step up, he'll definitely be a difference maker for them. But do we know if it's going to come or not? I'm not sure.
And do we really know for sure that Tobias Harris is going to come out and average 30 out of nowhere in the playoffs?
All I know is he'll average more than Paul George.
All right, next one, Celtics and who do we have?
It don't even matter.
Atlanta. Dude, Atlanta. We talk about bad team merchants. Atlanta's a good team merchant.
Yeah,
They're probably still losing in 6. Celtics would donate them one. The Hawks have another game where they shoot 60% from 3. But let's not act like this is a Hawks team that has no business being in the playoffs. All they do is beat good teams and lose versus dog shit teams.
No, I definitely agree. I just think that they played each other. They played each other last year, right? And I think the year before,
somebody was in and out of the lineup for the Hawks in that game. It might have been DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, I just think without Jalen Johnson, there's no more DeAndre Hunter. I think Celtics is obviously it's going to be too much. But I won't count out Trae Young.
But here's the thing that I think is worth talking about. If the Hawks do put up a fight, and let's say they take this to 6 games, the Cavs are going to be walking through the first round. So if they both make it to the conference finals, the Celtics have likely had 3 dogfight series, even if they do take care of business like a defending champion should. The Cavs are going to walk through the first round, and then they'll have the Bucks or the Pacers. I don't think they'll be worried about the Pacers. The Bucks will give them a fight. I'll say that. But if Giannis or just if anybody in that first 6 are injured or limited, or Bobby Portis gets suspended again, I mean they're basically going to be walking into the Celtics having barely broken a sweat. And I don't see a path like that for the Celtics, where like if the Pistons, if Cade gets hurt, they're going to take care of business. But the Pistons are not just going to let you roll out the red carpet and let you go to the basket. They'll punch you in the face before they give you a free layup.
So they still got Isaiah Stewart.
So like that's the reason I feel the need to bring up Atlanta being a good team merchant, because I don't think they have a chance of winning. But if they
Yeah.
just push them for an extra game or two, it does make a difference in 4 rounds. Let's go to the West. Thunder and who do we say? The Clippers. Clippers are gonna yeah. Actually, I say throw it away. OKC takes care of business too, but again, Clippers. Who's gonna if you put Dort to defend Kawhi, now who's defending Harden? Who's defending Powell?
I think it'll be a 6-game series.
I think it'll be 6 games too, which is the Thunder took care of the Pelicans in 4 games last year, but Zion was hurt. That was another one I expected something similar where I was like, all right, like this could be interesting, and then it wasn't interesting. As if the Clippers are healthy, I think they steal a game or two. Rockets and what would be the Timberwolves. Dude, I'm
not a believer in the Rockets.
I'm taking the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that really bothers me about the Rockets. And for the first like 2-3 months of the year, I thought they were kind of fake, and I couldn't put my finger on why. And then Fred VanVleet got hurt, and they went on a losing streak. If your success as a team depends on Fred VanVleet, you're not gonna win anything. I'm sorry. It's not happening. Fred VanVleet should not be the reason your team wins or loses games. And it's not like they went from like winning 80% of the games to 70%, and people are like, what's going on? Like, what happens with the Cavs with Evan Mobley? This is like I think they were below 500 without Fred VanVleet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And with him gone, it wasn't because of his stats. It's how he commands that team. They have no leader outside of him. There's no communication on the court without him. Like, it's just that whole team is like dysfunctional without him.
And like, bro, Jalen Green has his moments where like, dude, he's really good. This is what they drafted him for. And
he's not a true number one option.
Yeah, he will single-handedly win you a game when he is Jalen motherfucking Green. But he will also have games where you don't want him to close the lineup. And if he is your number one option and you don't want him on a court in certain games and closing scenarios, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I just looked up. The Rockets are 10-9 without Fred VanVleet this season. With wins against, I think the Bucks and Timberwolves are their only real wins. Like the rest are like Washington, Toronto, Phoenix, San Antonio, Pelicans. So, yeah, if your success relies on Fred VanVleet, by the time you get in the playoffs, it's wraps for you.
Yeah, and then the Rockets, they like to play you one-on-one. The Clippers will gladly do that.
Yeah.
They got Kawhi and James Harden.
No, Timberwolves.
They will gladly do that. Or Timberwolves. I mean,
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards will do that. Julius Randle would love to go one-on-one. Obviously, I'm not the biggest believer in him, but he'll be healthy. Should be healthy. Hopefully healthy. And I don't know how they'll match up with him there. Because if you think about fully healthy team, probably going to start Thompson on Ant-Man, right?
Have to. Not a choice.
Now, who goes on Julius?
Jabari.
So that means they're going to have both in the lineup. Have they started both yet? Like multiple games?
Amen and Jabari?
Yeah.
When Fred was out, yes.
But with Fred, so who's going to have to come off the court? Or I'll say not come off the court. Who's got to stay off the court more?
Yeah. Amen, Green, Jabari, Fred, Sengun. Oh, Dylan Brooks is out. If they do that.
You can't take Dylan Brooks off the court.
That's a damn good question. See, but then that brings the discussion of Jalen Green not closing games, because I promise you,
know what? I think they put Dylan Brooks on Julius Randle.
Which is, I'll say this: I've been a Jabari Smith hater for some time. He's won me over this last month or two. He's not.
He realized his job is on the line the way Thompson's been hooping lately.
Probably. He's not forcing anything anymore. He's been a hell of a defender lately, too. I'm not going to lie. His defense is also something I thought he's been overrated on for the longest time. I feel like he's settled into his defensive abilities lately, and I've really liked it. And then his 3-ball, I don't know what it's been on the season, but lately it feels like it's been significantly better. It feels like he's like, okay, I'm not the second guy anymore. I'm the fourth guy. Let me do the fourth guy role. And he's been doing it really, really well.
He's playing more free. I don't think
Yes.
he's feeling as much pressure. He's just playing like, I just don't care.
Yep.
And that's what he needs to do.
Damn, that's going to be a tough thing for Houston to figure out, honestly.
Because then you got Tari Eason as well.
So they're 7 deep in the rotation now. And then you're going to have some Steven Adams minutes in there. He crashes the offensive glass well enough, and it's not like you have to worry about him getting stretched out.
Steven Adams is going to give you a good 15 minutes.
Yeah.
When he's on the court, he's going to make an impact.
So you're 8 deep now.
I think it stops right there.
It'll definitely stop there. It's just about – I have no idea how the minutes are going to be distributed between that top 7.
Yeah. I think they're going to play it game by game.
But that brings us up to the same issue that we had with the Timberwolves against the Clippers. Is the Clippers still has some shit to figure out. It probably shows itself in the playoffs. It's probably going to happen with the Rockets too.
That's
right.
We
knew what they were before the injuries, but now that Amin Thompson, you can't put that back in the box. You have to play him.
He has to start.
Jabari Smith and Dillon Brooks both have a real role within the offense. They clearly can't win without Van Vliet on the floor. You're not going to go small ball and take Sengun off. He's been too good. And then Jalen Green is supposed to be your number one option. One of them has to go. They don't know which one. We don't know which one. They don't have that much time to figure it out. Minnesota can definitely take advantage of that.
Definitely.
So Minnesota wins that one?
Minnesota wins.
I love it. I take that to 7. Denver and Golden State. You know what I'm going to say. I'll let you go first.
Denver.
Okay. We got to stop with this Warriors Mickey Mouse shit. The Warriors are solid. The Warriors should be in the play-in right now. They're on this Mickey Mouse run where everybody that they've played is either just bad or their star player sits for that game. So everybody's getting this warped perception of what the Warriors are because they're forcing a lot of turnovers and making free throws. Free throws aren't going to be called as much in the playoffs, and they can't force turnovers against Jokic. It never happens. In the one game it did, they gave up 30 free throws in exchange because they were playing too aggressive. They don't have an answer for Jokic. They don't have the size for Jokic. And they have too many young guys on the team against a very, very experienced Denver starting 5. A Denver in 5, bro. I don't think it goes that deep.
I don't either. Especially if you're going to continue to keep sagging off Aaron Gordon. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. He has been shooting the 3-ball pretty well this season.
Dude, I heard a commentator say 45% last night. Is that correct? 46%. And the Lakers
probably went up after last night.
Leave him open.
You just can't. That game plan is not going to work. And I don't know what game plan they would be able to use here. I don't think Golden State. I would say Golden State is going to have spacing issues when it gets to the playoffs.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Post isn't exactly going to do it for me.
Yeah.
Also,
I think he'll give you like one solid
Westbrook
game
in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, Westbrook. Yeah. Westbrook is going to be a fun one there.
Last season in the playoffs in that Sun series, first game I think came off the bench, but then once guys started getting injured, 28-5-5, 38-12, 37-6-4, 14-8-8. And by the way, played against the Warriors last night without Jokic and without Murray. Him and Gordon and MPJ led them to the win. He had 12, 12, and 16 with 3 steals and 2 blocks. Russell Westbrook still got it, bro.
You know, he still definitely has it. And he's playing well within his role. And I think he's comfortable where he's at. And when they call on him, he always shows up. I think he'll do the same thing here.
That's going to be – that Russell Westbrook piece is going to prove to be a lot more valuable than I think people realize once the playoffs come around. And by the way, Peyton Watson as a defensive piece coming off the bench is going to be very helpful. Because if you need somebody to go guard Jimmy Butler, Peyton Watson is by no means like a lockdown defender, but he causes problems. Enough problems to make it an issue for a playoff series. Last one, Lakers and Memphis. I mean, Luka, LeBron. I'll say this. If Memphis is fully healthy, I'd actually think I'd take Memphis in 7. But they haven't been fully healthy all season. And even if guys are playing, I don't think they're going to be 100%. I think I'd have to take Lakers in 6 here.
I have Lakers in 6 here. I just don't know what their game plan would be against this current Lakers team. Like, how would you try and defend them with how they constructed? Like, how is Memphis roster constructed? How would you defend the Lakers?
I'd probably have to put Jaren Jackson on LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it. Zach Edey might get played off the court very quickly.
He won't be on the court that much.
Like, you can't put him in a Luka pick and roll. It's suicide.
Jackson Hayes is just going to eat that up. They're going to call him that pick and roll so much.
So are we starting Brandon Clark and putting Zach Edey in the non-Luka minutes?
I think they'll start off with Zach Edey, but I think he'll be limited to like 10, 15 minutes max, like just for those breathers. There will be a lot of Brandon Clark on the court.
Yep. Brandon Clark, Santi Aldama.
Yep.
So
Santi
then
Aldama as well.
Probably put Desmond Bane on Austin Reeves. Wells on Luka. God, that's throwing Wells to the wolves.
Yeah, rookie year guarding Luka in the playoffs is rough. But he has good length. He is a solid defender. I don't know how many people have been really watching him play defense this year, but he's been nice. But we're talking about Luka here. It's just not enough. It's like Ryan Dunn has played well on defense. That was his primary defender when he played the Lakers. It didn't work out well.
Bro, 6 minutes in, they're like, yeah, we're putting 3 on Luka. Somebody else has to shoot the ball.
He was just busting that ass.
That was hilarious. Vince Williams could come in and make an impact, though, but it doesn't seem like they want to play him more than 20 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to have to take Lakers in that one. All right. Next round, Cavs and Bucks. I'll say this as a Cavs fan, and this is going to make a lot of people mad. I'm more worried about the Bucks matchup than the Celtics matchup. I don't want to be honest. I don't want to deal with that. Lillard, I don't know what superpowers he injects him with every time he plays the Cavs. Isaac Okoro is basically grabbing his legs every time he shoots, and Lillard still shoots like 80% against the Cavs from deep. And it's like, fuck you, 40-foot threes. So I still obviously think the Cavs win. They're too good. Mobley should be able to do enough against Giannis. I think we have too much for a coach like Doc Rivers to game plan for a 7-game series. But Giannis is one I think he would cause the most problems for us in a series on this side of the bracket.
I think part of the game plan is just going to be just let Giannis be Giannis. Try and stop Lillard and everybody else.
Does that not put Mobley in foul trouble, though? The Cavs can't have that. Maybe you start Hunter and put Hunter on him instead.
So take Strus off?
Yeah.
I can see that.
They seem pretty committed to Strus starting. I thought by now they were going to move off of that, but they haven't. So that might if we split the first 2 games 1-1 and one of the games is like a game where we lose and we didn't have control, then I could see the switch. But as it stands, it's probably still Strus starting.
I agree.
It would be nice to have Mobley as an off-ball weak side help, though. If he's like on Prince in the corner and then just comes in to help on Giannis drives, I would like that.
Because they just played 9-10 days ago.
Yep.
Let me see. Matchups real quick. So they had Jared Allen on Giannis.
So then Mobley on Lopez to come and help off ball. I like that. I do like that.
Yep. That makes more sense to me right there.
Yeah. That's why Kenny Atkinson is going to be coach of the year. How deep do you think that goes?
Deep as far as what?
Games. How many games?
Games?
I really could see for 5 through 7.
Yeah.
I will say what I do like about this matchup for the Cavs is that Brook Lopez pick and roll is exactly the matchup you want for Garland and Mitchell offensively.
Definitely.
So Donovan Mitchell, especially we know how good Donovan Mitchell is in the playoffs. People act like he's not good, even though he has like multiple playoff records. Yeah, I think I'd probably say 6. I think Giannis wins him 1 with a big game. Dame wins him 1 with a big game.
But I think it gets to 7 if Gary Trent Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr. have some good games. They're going to need those two pieces, especially Kevin Porter Jr. defensively. But I think they really need Gary Trent Jr. shooting here. Maybe I think Gary Trent Jr. AJ Green combo of shooting.
But this
I think that's how it extends to 7 games. If they have one good game from both of those guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll say this. Do you think the Bucks steal a game in Cleveland at any point?
I do.
Really? Because I was going to say that's where I think it's an undoubtedly no. I think for the Bucks to do it, they're going to have to take it to 7, winning all 3 games at home. That's why I don't think they get past 6.
It's interesting. I think they probably just have one where it's just the Cavs just flat out just have a bad game.
Yeah.
Just because this team relies on that offense so much, it's all right to just have one bad game. I think that's how it gets there to that point.
So Cavs in 7?
Yeah, Cavs in 7.
All right. Now we got Pistons and Celtics. Do we think there's a world where the Pistons win this one?
There is a world.
I think so.
I don't know what world that'd be, but I think there is a world.
Somebody would have
because some reason Detroit plays. Yeah, but Detroit plays the Celtics very well for whatever reason the last 2 years or so.
I mean, the Celtics matchup hunt, that's what they do. Not like their offense is 90% matchup hunt. Once a double comes, then you swing out to one of their 50% shooters from 3 to punish you. But
yeah,
Oscar Thompson, you're not really hunting Jalen Duren. I mean, even if you do with KP, it's not
I'll
KP.
say foul hunting him. That's about it.
Yeah, but then Isaiah Stewart's a really good defender too.
Yeah, he's Isaiah. I mean, we always give him shit about playing, like just fighting people. He's never have highlights for actually like scoring on somebody, but his defense has been very good this year. Like top, I'll say for his position, probably top 15 at least. I would go that far as saying top 15 center in the league defensively.
I'd say that. If I'm just comparing to starting centers, I put Jared Allen over him, but Boston, nobody's healthy enough to really give an answer there. Definitely Cat, definitely Lopez, definitely Miles Turner, definitely Onyeka Okongwu, definitely Wendell Carter, definitely Vucevic.
You say Wendell Carter defensively?
Yeah. No, I'm saying definitely over Wendell.
Oh, yeah.
Bam Adebayo, do we even call him a center anymore with Ware playing the 5? Actually, Ware came off the bench last night, so Bam was the 5.
That was an alert.
Yeah, don't worry about that. So I take Bam over him. I think that's where the list ends in the East. If we go to the West, Hartenstein does his job. I think I'd call Stewart a better rim protector. Same with Sengun. Same with Jokic. not Jackson Hayes. Are we calling Jaren Jackson a center?
No.
So then not Zach Edey. Draymond, I'm not calling a center. Not Golden State. Rudy Gobert. That's where we got to start having a discussion.
Yeah.
Zubac, I'd take over him. So now we're at what, 3 centers we have over him definitively?
Yeah, and I said 15 being generous. I definitely think he is within like somewhere around 5 to 10 range for sure, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm looking. I don't know how you can't put him top 5.
Yeah.
Walker Kessler maybe is the one who pushes him out,
Yeah.
and that one's tough to say just because the team is bad.
True.
So, all that to say, so now you can't match up Hunt the center. You can't match up Hunt Osser. Cade isn't an elite defender. Like, he's not an all-NBA defender, but you can't exactly pick on him. Same with Tobias. That leaves you with what? Tim Hardaway and Malik Beasley? Dennis Schroeder?
Yeah.
That's who. I mean, like, you're picking on them, but
As long as Malik Beasley's controller doesn't disconnect, I think he'll be all right.
yeah, I mean, you're picking on him, but it's not like picking on like Duncan Robinson or how they picked on Darius Garland last year or how they picked on Luka Doncic. Like, if you're picking on those guys, it's probably a dogfight offense.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then I think it's just going to come down to how good are the Pistons going to be on offense. I don't think they'll have enough to keep up. They definitely won't have enough to keep up, but it definitely will keep the games interesting, I think.
And they're definitely going to force Thompson and probably Tobias Harris to shoot threes.
Yeah.
They're just going to dare them. Outside of that, I mean, you could definitely help off SR.
You'd probably still say Boston 5, if I'm being honest. Boston
Yeah,
6.
I would say Boston
it's like
5.
It's going to be 5 or 6 dog fights, like all within 10 points.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Into the West, OKC versus the Lakers. I think that's very interesting. I'm going to be honest.
It is.
I think the easy answer is the Thunder. I could
But
see
it's just
it
not
going
that
either
easy.
way. I could see it going either way.
Yeah.
If you do, I think what the biggest thing for me that has got me with so much belief in the Lakers is not because when they got Luka and they didn't have a center, I was like, all right, like they'll make the playoffs, they'll get some hype, but they don't have like a real chance. Austin Reeves has been significantly better than I thought he'd be with LeBron and Luka there. And I think that's where you get me because Lou Dort will be on Luka. We've seen he causes problems for Luka before. Cool. LeBron probably gets Chet. And then
Probably.
Austin Reeves gets Jalen Williams. You just need one of those two to be able to get you 25. And then the rest, I don't think Hartenstein is enough of a problem to make me scared of that Luka pick and roll when it gets working. And then that leaves you with shooters around the outside. And we know the Thunder want to force it to shooters. They want to force it to the outside. But if you have DFS and Rui Hachimura and
corner threes are going to be huge.
Exactly. And
it's going to be the Dallas game plan of last year.
Exactly.
I think they can follow it too.
I think it's going to come down to whether the Lakers can make their shots. I think we know exactly what we're going to get from the Thunder. I don't think the Lakers defense really has a chance at stopping the Thunder. I think it's just going to be a matter of how much can they keep up for at least 4 games.
Yeah.
I'll probably still take the Thunder. I think they can force enough turnovers on Luka for a team that was basically made in February. They look really good right now, but whatever they didn't have enough time to figure out will show up in a good 7-game series. And I think the Thunder take it in 7. I'll give them 7.
Yeah. So it looks like they have a back-to-back game April 6th and 8th, so we probably won't see anything real to see like how they would actually play each other.
Yeah.
I think OKC by then is going to be resting because there'd be like 4 or 5 games left for them.
Yep.
So it's hard to say what this team would actually do. But if we look at Boston, I think that's probably like the closest matchup we can get to like recently, like with a good team, both being healthy.
Boston took care of them. They took care of them.
Yeah.
Was the question. That's the other thing. The Lakers defense works because they force it to your worst shooter and they say, hey, you have to make your shots. Who are they forcing it to? Jalen Williams? Lou Dort? Lou Dort can go
Yep.
get you 6 threes on a good night if you leave him open. You're not leaving Chet open. You're not leaving J-Dub. You're not leaving Shea. Hardenstein's not going to touch the perimeter. I mean, who are you forcing it to? I might force it to. No, I'll still keep it at Lakers in 7. Or Thunder in 7, sorry. Next up, a little rematch, Denver and Minnesota. Tell me your thoughts, because I could go either way.
I can go either way as well, but Naz Reid is going to be so important in this series, and Julius Randle, if they really want a chance to win.
I don't think it's going to. Now I'm thinking about it. I think it's going to be Minnesota very comfortably. I think it's Minnesota in 6.
I think like lately, yeah.
They've proven to cause a lot of problems for Jamal Murray with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels. And not like problems like, oh, he's had a couple inefficient games. Like very visibly frustrated for Jamal Murray when he has to face these guys. Aaron Gordon is probably the X factor in this one, but I think Julius Randle is a fair combat for that now. Like last year, we saw them put Gobert helping off of Gordon and putting Cat on Jokic. I think now they just put Gobert on Jokic and have Randle on. Because now you can't help off Gordon, really. He's shooting too well. But Randle also can't get bullied by Aaron Gordon. Like Aaron Gordon was stronger than Cat. He could, if they got dirty in the paint, Aaron Gordon was winning that. That's not a given anymore. Now Anthony Edwards has taken a huge leap in his shooting. Dante DiVincenzo has been a beautiful addition. Mike Conley was weird last season. Now they really have no reliance on Mike Conley. If he plays well, it's a nice boost, but they don't need him. I think Denver has a lot of trouble with him. Because Minnesota can win a game without forcing that many turnovers, which is where Denver is like, hey, our assist turnover ratio, second to none. You got to find a different way to win. Minnesota has other ways they can win defensively.
If Denver wants any chance, Aaron Gordon is going to be so important. He has to be just absolutely balling on both ends of the court here.
Has to be. Want to check something.
But you just can't trust him to be healthy this season.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
The last 2 matchups they played against each other, Aaron Gordon was out for both of them.
Yep, sounds about right. And that's the other thing. Denver has been a revolving door of injuries themselves with Aaron Gordon and then Jamal Murray earlier in the season. I think I can't remember. He might have just played so bad that it feels like he was injured. I honestly can't remember, but it feels like he was injured because Russell Westbrook was starting for a bit because Murray was out, and then again because Gordon was out. Michael Porter Jr. has been Mr. Consistent, and even that feels like it hasn't been enough. So then,
I think Julius Randle is going to be averaging like at least 20 points a game in this series.
Has to be. But then off the bench, Jalen Clark has been a great surprise.
Yep.
Shannon and Dillingham, I bet one of them give you
I love watching Shannon play lately.
Yeah, one of them. You'll get one surprise game from one of them, at least. I don't think Denver has any tricks up their sleeve, and I think Minnesota has a lot. I think that's the issue.
I think the scoring off the bench for Denver is what's going to shoot them in the foot here.
Yeah. Strother doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. I think he's solid, like a 7th, 8th piece. If he's your guy where you're like, yeah, we need him to go get us 12 off the bench, it's not going to be enough.
Not at all.
All right. Cavs, Celtics. This is going to be the playoff matchup that everybody wants to argue about for the next 2 months. JJ, you know where I stand. Give me your thoughts first.
I think, first of all, 7-game series here.
Yeah, 100%.
I think with DeAndre Hunter, it really evens it out.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna come down to who can outshoot who, along with who can make the better runs.
Yeah. I'm going to say, for 2 reasons, even bias aside, I think the Cavs are the ones that come out of this. One, the Celtics have been not as consistent as you'd expect them to be at home. Meanwhile, the Cavs have been very consistent. And it's not just, they're winning games. Both of them are winning games at home.
The bench worries me for the Celtics here in a matchup like this.
The bench, and I think the Cavs defense is significantly better than the Celtics defense.
As of right now, yeah.
Like, we can talk net rating, numbers, and all that stuff. To be honest, I don't know them off the top of my head. But if you're an opposing team and you're coming to play either of these defenses, the Cavs are posing a lot more matchup problems for you than the Celtics are. And, I mean, the main concern is just if Jared Allen is out here defending a 5-out offensive system, he could be a liability. But the Cavs have also shown that they can close the game without Jared Allen, and nobody's breaking a sweat. He's not upset. Nobody on the team is confused, and they just handle business. Hell, the last time these two teams played, I'm pretty sure Allen didn't close the game, and they handled business.
The X factors here, I think, are going to be the 2 6-men. Ty Jerome, Peyton Pritchard.
I mean, shit, DeAndre Hunter is basically a 6-man now, too. The Cavs have 2 6-man of the year candidates.
I feel like this would be a start for him. I feel like he would start in this series.
Yeah. Actually, I could see Strus getting some off-ball screen action in this matchup.
Yeah.
And then just getting
I guess I don't even look at DeAndre Hunter. Like, he's really a starter. But, I mean, obviously he is like technically the 6-man right now. But, yeah.
Like, that's the thing. The Cavs, whoever they're subbing in can defend. And we talked about the Celtics want to matchup hunt. You're not hunting DeAndre Hunter. You're not hunting Dean Wade. You're not hunting Isaac Okoro if any of those 3 guys come off the bench. People want to believe you can matchup hunt Ty Jerome because he's white. I promise you can't. Darius Garland,
very aggressive. He's like TJ McConnell.
Exactly. And Darius Garland, they matchup hunted him last year. We've seen in the matchup so far this year, he's held his own pretty well. Not that Tatum can shoot over him just fine, but Garland has figured out the little tricks to get under his skin a little bit. I think the Cavs hold those 2 advantage. In a 7-game series, the biggest things you want to talk about is who can defend for 7 games and who's got home court advantage and who's a better home court team. I think the Cavs take the cake in those key aspects.
Yeah.
Now we go to the West. OKC and Minnesota. This is where I think you lose me with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Lakers pose a tougher matchup to the Thunder than the Timberwolves would.
Yeah, I agree. I think Thunder are probably going to go too big here for sure in a matchup like this.
I just don't see an aspect where the Timberwolves win any matchup scenario. Like 1-5 scheme, nothing seems to go in Minnesota's favor in this one.
And I think they're going to put 2 on the ball on Ant.
Like maybe DiVincenzo in the opposite corner is the only thing that can move the needle a little bit in Minnesota's direction. But unless we're expecting him to go out here and make 6 threes a game, I don't think that's going to be enough.
Yeah.
Like PJ Washington was enough against the Thunder last year because he was doing that and defending Shea on the other side. DiVincenzo's not doing both of those things. DiVincenzo, if the Thunder switch Shea onto DiVincenzo, it's a bucket. Maybe you can make an argument that Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker caused problems for him. But then if you do that, now they're not the shooter that DiVincenzo. They're good shooter. They're enough as shooters, but they're not Dante DiVincenzo. So you don't
Not
have
at
a guy
all.
that'll do both for you, like PJ Washington did in the playoffs last year, and he was without a question the X factor in that series, and I don't think the Timberwolves have that.
Yeah, they really don't. Trying to pull up some game logs from their previous matchups because I know they had the back-to-back.
Yeah, that
Because
was when,
Minnesota, OKC blew that one lead that came back. I
yeah,
think Ant
16
got hurt
points in the
towards the
last 2
end.
minutes or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah. But
I think that first game the Thunder took care of business pretty comfortably. No, or was it the other way around? Thunder.
they played 3 times with a span of 4 games.
I think one of them was right before the break, and then 2 were right after the break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one was right before the break.
We have not seen this Thunder team at full strength. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
Chet's been out during period. They started the season with Hartenstein out and Chet in. As soon as Hartenstein came back, Chet was out. And what it's been like probably since the break was really the only time that they've both been healthy. And even then, on like back-to-backs, one of them will sit, one of them will play. Give them 20-ish playoff games figured out, and this next month, I think they'll have enough time to get it figured out.
Yeah, because I don't see. Oh yeah, Julius Randle was hurt for like at least 2 of those games, right? I think he got hurt going into the break.
I thought he was hurt well before that.
I think he was.
He missed the first matchup.
If he missed the first matchup, he missed all of them.
Or the first matchup after the break, sorry. Yeah, he missed the one before the break. Yeah, he missed all 3 of them.
And
But
so
do you think
did
Julius Randle was the X factor in this series?
that's what I'm
I
trying
think-
to figure
I
out.
think Chet cancels him out pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
I like what Julius has been doing. I like his new role. I'm not even that I'm not a big Chet Glazer either.
What do you think Gobert does in this series? Because he
Him
didn't
and
play neither of those
Hartenstein cancel
matchups
each other
either.
out. Neither of them move the needle against each other for me. It's really about the first 3: Shea, J-Dub, Dort against Ant, Jaden McDaniels, and Conley / DiVincenzo / Alexander Walker.
Yeah.
I think there's a very sizable gap in OKC's favor looking at those 3.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to sit here and say OKC in 5 if OKC and Minnesota Timberwolves match up against each other.
I think OKC's X factor is probably going to be J-Dub here.
Yeah, but
Just for his
who's
scoring.
the Timberwolves X factor? That's the issue.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I feel like it has. If Jaden McDaniels isn't hitting 40% plus from 3, I don't think it's going to be tough for them to even.
It's going to be Jay McDaniels. He has to hit his threes.
I have OKC in 5 in this one.
I have nothing wrong with that. I have nothing to argue against it.
All right, everybody's going to be shocked by this prediction of OKC versus Cleveland in the finals. This would be a very fun finals to watch. Before we get into who we think wins, if we get Oklahoma City against Cleveland in the finals, we will undoubtedly get the 2 best teams from the regular season, at least as it stands. And we get 2 rising franchises with bright futures, young players, great defense, great offense. There's no, the Celtics have Jaylen Brown versus Jason Tatum. Oh, who's the number 1? Oh, who's the first 2-3 guys up there? They're both deep. They both have a good core. They both love to run 2 bigs. I mean, I don't even know where to start here.
I mean, such a great offense from the Cavs versus an insane defense from the Thunder. I mean, I feel like that's where we got to start.
Yeah. Do you think is Hartenstein going to be in drop?
Probably. I haven't seen him like vary off of that much with both centers playing together.
If the Cavs win this series, it's going to be a Hartenstein's drop.
I could believe it.
I think,
And that may be reason why they probably move Hartenstein to the bench possibly in this matchup. I know like they'd be giving up side, like obviously you could have Hartenstein on Jared Allen, Chet on Mobley. But yeah, that drop will be a liability. I think they could possibly play him with just one center and just rotate. I mean, at times they'll have two centers. Don't get me wrong, but I think the most important minutes are going to be with just one center on and just having Chet at the 5.
I think my only issue with that is the Thunder are probably the only team in the NBA that can properly match up with the Cavs double bigs.
Yeah.
So if you now remove that, Mobley becomes a very, very big X factor. And that's, I feel like you don't want a guy.
I think he's going to be the
caliber
X factor
being that.
regardless.
I think if Chet's the 4, I think Mobley still takes the cake against him, but I think it's enough of a battle where the battle is going to have to be won from somebody else in terms of being the difference maker in the series.
Yeah.
So that's where the issue comes of Hartenstein's not necessarily like liability is a bit of an aggressive word here, but
in terms of their
they use
scheme, I would say liability. But
Yeah.
just like straight up one-on-one, he's not a liability
Yeah.
in that aspect.
So I think that's kind of the path to victory for the Cavs is Hartenstein either gets exposed and drop or they play him off the court. And now Mobley has basically a free matchup at the 4 with Chet guarding the 5. What's the path to victory for the Thunder in this one?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Tell you defensively, it's Dort causing problems for Donovan Mitchell. Because
Definitely, he's always causes problem for him. I think he probably will take Donovan Mitchell out for most of the series.
So then it comes to how consistent is Darius Garland going to be? Obviously, he's been phenomenal this season, but Donovan Mitchell is still the leader of that team. He's the one that the Cavs want to lead on. Garland will step up. Will he do it for 7 games? Becomes the question. And if he doesn't, is that enough to give it to the Thunder?
If he doesn't, then I think it would be enough to give it to the Thunder. He has to look to score here.
You don't think that this is where I think the Hunter trade becomes huge? Because before the Hunter trade, I would have agreed with you that it's solely on Darius Garland. But now there is a realistic scenario where Hunter can go in and have a 25, 30-point game on a Garland off night, and there's a different reason the outcome of the game is decided instead.
Yeah.
Because Karis LeVert, if it was Karis LeVert like that, it's not enough. A 20-point game from Karis LeVert is not the same as a 20-point game from DeAndre Hunter. I'm sorry. The numbers show up the same, but the impact on the game is very different. So that's where that trade becomes the first 3 rounds. Like Hunter probably did his thing versus Boston. I'm sure he had a good game to get us to this point, whatever. But getting into a final series where Donovan Mitchell is likely taken out of a few games, Darius Garland has an off night. What the hell else are the Cavs going to do? DeAndre Hunter now becomes a very this is what you traded.
Yep.
I think for me, it comes. We know we're getting from Shea, Mr. Consistent. I think Chet, I don't think he has any huge games. I don't think he has any duds. I think with the double bigs that the Cavs have, with how good Chet is, I think we know what we're going to get from him. Jalen Williams, 17 to 23, pretty much every game. Pretty comfortable on that split. 1, who's playing the non-Lou Dort minutes? 2, how effective are they? Because if it's Isaiah Joe, he can shoot the lights out, and he's not a bad defender, but he's not Lou Dort. So if you have Isaiah Joe on the floor, Donovan Mitchell is now opened up to have a good offensive performance. And whoever you're bringing on in place of Lou Dort, if it's Isaiah Joe shooting is not going to be enough to balance out the lack of defensive impact there. If it's Aaron Wiggins, is he ready? I love Aaron Wiggins, dude. Is he ready for that?
I don't think he is. I think defensively, they're going to need Kenrich Williams here. They're going to need him to be like a good perimeter defender.
And that's where my issue comes. Kenrich Williams is not. I think he's a great guy to have off your bench in the regular season. One of the better guys to have off your bench in the regular season. I don't know if he's a guy that we want getting consistent finals minutes here.
I don't know if he'll get. I think he'll be here and there. They're going to start with Kaysen and Isaiah Joe
Casey
probably.
Wallace. That's what I was forgetting.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very reliant on Kaysen Wallace and Aaron Wiggins are going to be the X factors for me in this series.
If they're not providing shooting, Kenrich is getting in the game.
I think if Kenrich is if they're not providing shooting and you have to put Kenrich in the game, I think you've already lost the game. I have nothing against Kenrich.
Cleveland can still shoot themselves in the foot shooting poorly.
I mean, any team can.
Yeah, but they've done it before already in this matchup, even though they didn't have all the pieces.
Well, the shooting was bad, but that was more turnovers. Like, we had to try and shoot ourselves back in it, and we couldn't. But, bro, so many turnovers that the Thunder just had our number defensively in that one. I think now that we've seen it, we'll probably have a better response to it if that starts happening again. But I think either team can have a game where they shoot themselves in the foot with shooting efficiency.
Yeah, I just think this team relies so much on their offense. They just can't afford to just put back-to-back games down like that.
Yeah. All right, so give me your pick.
I think 7-game series here. I don't know which way to lean yet.
What's the overall standings? Cavs are half a game ahead of OKC. This is the reason I think neither team is going to take their foot off the gas.
Who gets home court advantage, you think?
That's what I'm talking
about. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's exactly where I'm going with this. I don't know if either team is stealing a game on the road. Both of these home court advantages for both these teams are very, very evident. And it's half a game difference right now. Cavs are ahead by half a game.
And it's frustrating me.
And
it's
actually,
so close.
by the time this video comes out, we'll know where that half is going because we're going to be posting this Wednesday morning. They'll play the Clippers tonight. They'll either be 56-12, and both teams will be tied, or they'll be 57-11, and Cavs will have a game in hand. Neither of these teams are going to be able to give up a game at the end because if both these teams get to the finals, it is very realistic to say that home court advantage decides who wins the series.
Correct.
I'm willing to leave it at that.
I feel like we have no choice. It's so close.
Half
game apart, like you can't. Yeah.
All right. So we did it. We went through the entire playoff scenario as it stands. This is probably all going to be useless because right now between the 2nd seed and the 8th seed, there's 5.5 games separating the West. And for the East, the 7-10 is pretty solidified in terms of who's going to be in the play-in. But 4 through 6 is a game difference between the Bucks, Pacers, and Pistons. I would not be surprised if all that shakes up as well. So who knows? We might have to do this video again in like a week. But we got other content ideas out along with the gambling content we've been doing. If you guys want to subscribe and check those out. But yeah, any likes and subscriptions are always appreciated. And yeah, we're going to try and get into some more creative content that we think you guys want. If you guys have any other ideas, anything else you want to hear us talk about, please let us know in the comments. But take care. We'll see you guys in the next video.